What it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder, checking back in with another lesson and a topic again that I think is interesting to discuss. Today's lesson will be on the Chicago race riots of 1919. The reason why I think this case study is important because the race riots in Chicago happened around the same time a lot of the other conflicts was happening in America. This one happened between July 27th and the first week of August. The reason why this issue became a huge deal is because Chicago cannot get adequate housing around this time. Blacks were forced to live in almost a 3-block radius, right? And there was no place for them to move out to. They were only redlined to certain areas. We knew about the Great Migration coming up from Mississippi and moving to the northern part of the United States. But when they decided to move and seek of housing and better places to live, they were denied access. One other thing that triggered another big issue that happened is that there were young men that were swimming in Lake Michigan. And in these lakes around this time, they literally had it segregated off into a white side and a black side. So the young man was swimming regularly, enjoying himself. He had to be no more than 15, 16 years old. And he accidentally swam past the line. Mind you, this is a teenager. And when this young man swam past the line, the whites angrily threw rocks at him and drowned him. Emotionally, I couldn't even imagine something like it happened to my son or something like that you threw rocks at him and he drowned. But when this situation happened, of course, the blacks in town were in right to be raged and upset. They were so enraged that when the teenager was stoned and drowned, that they really start attacking the whites in this side of town. When you think about it, they had every right to. And that's when it started and sparked the race riots. The race riot starts when people were just fighting each other all over the streets. Black and white citizens were attacking each other from all ends of the spectrum. You began to see brutal attacks, stabbings, and the city of Chicago was on fire, literally because of violence for 13 days. You began to see lawless activities. You began to see shooting, looting, fire, breaking down cars, the whole nine, all sparked because this situation with a young boy was murdered. When you think about it, all of these activities were happening, especially when blacks just wanted the basic freedoms that were entering the city. So looking back at how these people were happening, one of the reports said there were over 600 people that were injured and 1,000 black families that were homeless because of the situation. Mind you, there was no adequate housing already. So 1,000 plus families had to go from having some type of housing support to almost being homeless due to the fact that a young black man was drowned and stoned while swimming in Lake Michigan, an open lake in a part of the Chicago area. This story is very interesting because it was showing how even though we constantly see white aggressors at this time frame in history, we never see the law and order and structure to tame those individuals that did that. When this type of situation happened, President Woodrow Wilson, of course, went to martial law. He, of course, wanted to get the city of Chicago back under control. And we never saw the criminals persecuted. This lack of faith you see happen so much over the times to Black Americans in history that you never see the trust accurately restored in the law. These type of case studies elaborate and break down why there's untrust in in black communities and law enforcement. And this is why. History repeated, done over time, and never any justice. I think this case story is phenomenal because it breaks down everything you see circumstance in the South, even in the metropolitan city in the North at the time. We see the president had to intervene again due to a race riot spark of a young child being murdered and executed. And we also see the early sparks of the civil rights movement. You got to think of this time, y'all. This is the city of Fred Hampton. All of these great Chicago leaders at this time, And that's when you start to seeing local organizations, I don't want to use that word gang, but you start to see that symbolization form because you had to police yourself due to the improper support that most of these black communities had. It's your boy King Crowder checking back out again, telling you about another history concept that I think is very important. And if you don't know, add to your toolbox, please. Please comment, like, and subscribe to any videos. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them to me. I will look at them. I will get back to you. It's your boy checking out. Peace.